you earn your pay?
How'd you earn your pay?
I will reply with a whole lot of anger.
I will reply with a whole lot of anger.
Earn my pay as an airborne ranger.
Earn my pay as an airborne ranger.
Alright guys, this is the last part of the this theory talk on long-range shooting. And this part of the video is meant to illustrate some interesting things in ARMA regarding the different types of ammunition that are available and the differences between slight variations in between the rifles and weaponry that share the same ammunition, but surprisingly they perform slightly different. That although they, you know, within 600 meters at longer ranges, I'm talking about 800 meters and further, these differences could add up to actually cause you to miss your shot. So without further ado, let's get started. So right now I've got standard 5.56 ammunition loaded into this M16A4. And you see that the muzzle speed is 930 meters per second. And you're going to see that the speed loss is 6.98%. That is a big chunk. And I'm going to show you something right now. By the way, that was only 50 meters out, so just keep that in mind. So 300 meters. Straight ahead. Look at that. Speed loss at 34.9, so it's 35% essentially. At 300 meters. Already 35% speed loss. And as you recall from my video, my previous video in this series, that amounts to a lot of a lost kinetic energy. And that's lost due to the frictional force caused by wind as a bullet is in flight. And this is exactly why 5.56 is not a long-range round. A lot of people say it's accurate. Yeah, I can reach out there. Hell yeah, you can start hitting guys with a special purpose rifle, a Mark 12, out to about maybe even 800 meters if you make all the right corrections. But what I'm saying is that the effective range of these things is about 500 meters, maybe 600, maybe. Because by the time it gets there, it's lost so much friggin' speed that the kinetic energy, it's pitiful. It's not going to do anything. You're going to tap the guy, and he's going to eat it. He's going to get up and shoot right back at you, or he's going to walk away and survive. And that right there is a main problem they have in the real world today. 5.56 is just not performing in the modern battlefield. On soldiers on both sides, and U.S. soldiers and Marines, they're complaining that the 5.56 just isn't getting the job done because they're tired of putting guys down about 5 shots and then get right back up and start shooting back at them because they're all jacked up on adrenaline. And the 5.56 just ain't cut it. This round was actually designed to tumble if it impacted the target at a certain velocity and a fragment inside the target and maximize lethality. But guess what? As you just saw, I mean, this is ARMA, this isn't exactly real life, but they got the ballistics almost down pat in this game. But as you just saw, the velocity drops a hell of a lot. So that reasoning and the basic mechanics of the 5.56 round fall short right then and there. This round's been used since Vietnam, and it's just not, it's time for an upgrade because in this day and age and the battlefields and long-range engagements that we have, the 5.56, it just ain't cutting it. The lethality factor is less than satisfactory, I should say, and that's why Special Forces units are shifting over to other rounds, including the 6.5 Grendel, and then this traditional 7.62 by 51, just because it hits harder, even though you can carry a lot less ammunition for the weight that you carry. It still hits harder, and when you hit the guy, he's not getting back up. Now, as I just shot that round, as you recall, that was 930 meters per second. That is damn fast at muzzle velocity. Even though it slows down pretty fast, that is still pretty damn fast. Now I'm going to load the Mark 2.62 rounds, and I want you to observe something. Muzzle speed, 850 meters per second. That is a whole 70 meters per second slower than standard rounds. and the speed loss is only 28.67. That's not compared to the 35%. It's only 28 or 29, I believe. I mean, yeah, 29 if you round it up. But the Mark II 6.2 round, you're asking, like, why does it slow down? Like, what is this Mark II 6.2 round if you don't know what it is? It is a heavy special purpose round, 5.56 caliber, that was designed for the special purpose rifle, SPR, also known as the Mark 12. Now, this round was designed to be heavier and to increase the chance of fragmentation even at lower velocities to enhance lethality, and that's exactly what this round does. But it trades off a little bit of armor penetration because it tends to fragment more easily, which is what it trades off for. So that trade-off right there, fragmentation for a little bit less armor penetration. But here's the thing, 5.56 is hardly an armor penetrating round in the first place. You get any kind of cinder block, 5.56 is not going to go through that thing at about 300 yards, maybe closer, maybe like 100 meters or so, it might still go through there, but out here, it's out 300 meters, it's not going to go through. So you're not really losing much. So that's one key, one interesting thing about Mark II 6.2 rounds. And then tracers, if I remember correctly, they have really no different ballistics, so to speak. I don't think the accuracy is any different. Yeah, as you see, 930 meters per second right there, speed loss. The 34.9, so basically 35%, is exactly the same as a standard round. And but that is not the case for all ammunition, and I will show you that soon enough. Alright, so now here we have the M24 again. And alright, now I got loaded standard 7.62 by 51 M24 rounds in Arma. Muzzle speed of 786 meters per second. It's significantly slower than the what do you call it? Than the 100 meters per second slower. Let's fire it one more time. And the speed loss, 21%. Only 21%. Why is it speed loss? Oh, I forgot to mention that with the Mark II 6.2. The same thing I was mentioning earlier about 50 cal rounds being essentially a bigger bullet, bigger boy, harder to push around. So basically, it's harder to slow down, and that's basically the simplified version right there. Now, tracer rounds. (850 meters per second), as compared to the 780 something meters per second. That is a lot faster. A lot faster. Now, you're not going to notice that difference in right off the bat in Arma just by shooting this at Insurgents and talking, because this chart does not change. This chart is actually, it's calibrated for the standard 7.62 round coming out of the M24, and even then, I already talked about this in my other marksmanship course video, that there's an error that you need to account for as well, and the Ballistics. Minutes of angle up. Alright. And it's about a slat. It's basically like the windage is negligible, honestly. So I'm not going to correct for windage. I'm just going to pull off a shot. Anyway, so I'm going to load standard rounds again. I want you guys to see something. So as you know, this shoots high. So actually I'm going to go down 1 minute of angle. It's range. So just want you guys to watch the difference between these two rounds is. And as you saw there, the final speed was significantly different. Speed loss significantly different. And at that longer range, I've just barely hit my target. I'm going to aim for his chest this time, and I can probably guarantee you I'm going to miss this shot. I still actually hit the target. Yep, nicked him right in the head. But as you can see the difference again, I'm shooting really high with the tracer rounds. And the reason for that is simply because of the higher initial velocity. And the higher velocity means flatter trajectory, because it is dropping a lot less. It is dropping, how do I say it? It's dropping, but over a larger distance. So its flight path is flatter, if that makes sense, you guys. So this is the standard rounds again. And right there, where I was aiming. Now that's a big difference at longer ranges. Do you see how if I actually was going for a little bit higher shot, try to pull that off with a tracer round, I almost missed my target. Just because of that small difference. And a lot of people will, they'll hit their targets, just like I did there. They'll nick them and still won't notice a big difference, but they'll miss every so often and probably dismiss it, but they won't realize it's because of that huge difference in initial velocity, and that just flattens out the trajectory. Therefore, the tracer round will you don't need to adjust for drop as much, so it's probably going to overshoot your target at longer ranges, like 800 meters. I just got lucky there and actually landed those shots.